Stop for a moment. Do not scroll. Do not speak. Just breathe and feel the subtle tension in your chest. That quiet pressure that has followed you your entire life. That feeling of not fitting, of standing in a room full of people and sensing that you are observing from a different altitude. You have tried to shrink yourself, to blend in, to act ordinary, but something in your spine has always resisted. Something in your blood has always whispered, "This is not why you were sent here." Stay with me until the very end of this message, and when you do, write your warmest wishes in the comments and write 99 because your words carry energy and what you release now will return to you. And if you feel this message is for you, stay connected to this space so you don't miss what comes next. Listen carefully. The reason you have felt out of place is not because you are broken. It is because you were never designed for an ordinary template. You were never calibrated for the default settings of this world. The discomfort you feel when you try to live like everyone else is not dysfunction. It is divine friction. It is the resistance of a higher frequency trying to operate inside a lower system. The world rewards conformity. It praises repetition. It celebrates the predictable. But you were marked before you were born. Jeremiah 1:5 says, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you." Most people read that as poetry. You feel it as a biological memory, as if your brain stem recognizes something ancient, as if your nervous system hums when you hear those words. You were never meant to be ordinary. Listen, your spine is not just bone. It is a ladder of light. Your breath is not just oxygen. It is coded rhythm. Your heart is not just muscle. It is a transmitter. And when you try to live an ordinary life, your internal circuitry misfires. Anxiety, restlessness, sudden awakenings at 3:17 a.m., random surges of clarity that feel like downloads. This is not coincidence. It is calibration. Most people will not understand this, and that is fine. They were not meant to. Not everyone was meant to hear this transmission. If this resonates, it is because you were already chosen. The masses operate from surface-level thought. You operate from signal. There is a difference between thinking and receiving. You have experienced moments where ideas enter your mind fully formed, like light entering through a window. That is because your mind is not just a processor, it is an antenna. Romans 12:2 says, "Be transformed by the renewing of your mind." Renewal is not improvement. Renewal is realignment. When your thoughts align with your original frequency, your entire body responds. Your posture changes, your breathing slows, your gaze sharpens, your blood feels warmer. You have always felt that you were ahead of the room, not in arrogance, but in awareness. You notice patterns before others. You sense emotional shifts before they speak. You feel danger before it arrives. This is not hypervigilance. It is heightened perception. Here is the sacred process for this part. It is simple, it is ancient, and it has been guarded. Tonight, when you are alone, sit upright. Keep your spine straight. Close your eyes. Place one hand over your heart and one at the base of your spine. Breathe in slowly for 7 counts. Hold for 4. Release for 7. As you inhale, imagine light rising up your spine. As you exhale, imagine that light spreading across your brain like dawn. Do this 7 times. You will feel warmth, or pressure, or subtle vibration. That is alignment. That is your system remembering itself. The reason ordinary life exhausts you is because it forces you to compress your capacity. You were designed to expand, to perceive layers, to feel depth, to decode what others overlook. 1 Peter 2:9 says, "You are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood." Royalty is not about crowns, it is about responsibility. Priesthood is not about rituals in temples, it is about maintaining inner fire. You have been tested through isolation, through misunderstanding, through seasons where you questioned your own sanity. But those were refinement chambers. Gold must endure heat. Light must pass through darkness to be visible. If you feel lonely sometimes, it is because your frequency does not match the noise around you. Not everyone can walk at your altitude. Not everyone can tolerate your intensity. That is not superiority in ego. It is separation in vibration. Listen, there are people who will mock what they cannot comprehend. There are systems that will attempt to reduce what they cannot control. Knowledge has always been guarded because awakened minds destabilize predictable structures. You feel this instinctively. That is why you hesitate to speak everything you know. That is why you often remain silent. Silence is not weakness, it is containment of power. The mirror effect is already happening. As you hear these words, your body is reacting. Tiny electrical impulses along your spine. A slight tightening in your throat, a pulse behind your eyes. That is recognition. You were never meant to be ordinary. You were meant to carry signal. And this is only the beginning of what you are about to remember. Do you feel that subtle shift already? That quiet awareness in the back of your mind that something irreversible has begun? This is not information. This is activation. And the reason it feels different is because you are not consuming words. You are recognizing yourself inside them. Most people go their entire lives without ever questioning the structure they were handed. They accept the rhythm, the routine, the narrow corridor of expectation. But you have always felt the walls closing in. Ordinary routines feel like cages to you. Small talk drains your energy. Predictable paths suffocate your spirit. That is not rebellion. That is misalignment. You were never designed to operate at surface level. Ephesians 1:4 says, He chose us in Him before the foundation of the world. Before the foundation, before structure, before system, before conformity. Let that sink into your nervous system. Your identity was not assigned by culture. It was encoded before culture existed. This is why you have always sensed that your life carries weight, even in your lowest moments, even when you doubted yourself. There was a quiet undercurrent whispering, there is more. That whisper was not imagination. It was memory. Your brain holds more than thoughts. It holds resonance. There are neural pathways in you that respond to truth like tuning forks. When something authentic reaches you, your body reacts first. A shiver along your spine, a warmth in your chest, a stillness in your breath. This is anatomical mysticism. Spirit does not float above the body. It moves through it. You have experienced moments where time felt different, where seconds stretched, where you sensed you were observing from outside yourself. These are glimpses of expanded perception. Ordinary consciousness feels linear. Chosen consciousness feels layered. And this is where most people would misunderstand you. They would call it imagination. They would call it overthinking. They would call it ego. But they do not understand frequency. They do not understand that some souls were wired to receive deeper bandwidth. Not everyone was meant to hear this. Listen again. The discomfort you feel around mediocrity is sacred. The frustration you feel when you see potential wasted is sacred. The ache you carry when you sense that the world is asleep is sacred. These are not flaws in your personality. They are signs of assignment. John 15:16 says, You did not choose me, but I chose you. Selection implies intention. Intention implies purpose. And purpose implies design. You were designed. The masses are comfortable being average because average requires no expansion. But you have always felt pressure to grow. Pressure in your skull when you think too deeply. Pressure in your chest when you suppress your truth. Pressure along your spine when you try to live small. That pressure is your internal compass. Here is the sacred technique for this part. The breath of distinction. Stand in front of a mirror. Look directly into your own eyes. Do not look at your face. Look at the pupils. Breathe slowly through your nose for 5 counts. As you inhale, silently say, I am not ordinary. As you exhale, say, I accept my difference. Repeat this 11 times. Watch what happens to your gaze. It will sharpen. Your posture will subtly lift. Your heart rate will stabilize, because the body responds to identity statements when they are true. You were never meant to be ordinary. Listen. The world may have tried to condition you into smaller definitions, labels, roles, boxes, but something in your blood resisted. Something in your frequency refused to collapse. That resistance is holy. There will be people who sense your difference and feel threatened. They will attempt to downplay you, to normalize you, to reduce your intensity. This is not random. Light exposes what prefers shadow. You have probably noticed that your presence alone changes environments. Conversations shift, energy adjusts. Some people open up around you instantly, others grow uncomfortable. That is not coincidence. That is impact. And here is the mirror effect truth. The more you accept your non-ordinary design, the more clearly the world will respond to it. But this path requires courage, because stepping out of ordinary means stepping into visibility, and visibility attracts both alignment and opposition. Isaiah 61 says, "Arise, shine, for your light has come." Rising is a decision. Shining is a consequence. You are being invited into acceptance of your original blueprint, not the version shaped by fear, not the version edited by society, the original one. Your brain is capable of holding more than routine thoughts. Your spine is capable of channeling more than stress. Your heart is capable of transmitting more than survival. You were built for expansion, and as you continue listening, deeper layers will unlock. Because this transmission is not linear, it unfolds in response to your readiness. You feel that readiness now. That is why you are still here. Something inside you is stretching now, not physically, but internally, as if invisible muscles are waking up after years of being unused. That sensation is not imagination. It is your consciousness expanding beyond the limits you once accepted. And expansion always feels unfamiliar at first. You have spent years questioning yourself, wondering why ordinary milestones never satisfied you, why achievements that made others proud felt hollow to you, why comfort sometimes felt more suffocating than struggle. This was never ingratitude. It was misplacement, a royal blueprint forced into a common mold. Listen carefully. When a being is designed for depth, surface living becomes painful. When a mind is wired for higher perception, shallow environments create friction in the nervous system. That friction you feel in your chest when conversations lack substance, that tightening in your jaw when people settle for less than they are capable of, that is alignment rejecting distortion. Philippians 3:20 says, "Our citizenship is in heaven." Most read this symbolically, but you feel it biologically, as if your nervous system recognizes that you are operating from a different origin frequency. Citizenship implies belonging, and if you have never fully felt at home here, it is because your belonging is layered. You walk in two realms simultaneously, the visible and the subtle. Your body is physical, yes, but your perception operates beyond surface matter. You sense tension before it manifests. You feel lies before they are spoken. You notice emotional micro-shifts in people's eyes. This is not hyper-analysis. It is sensitivity refined by design. Most people numb themselves to survive. You remained sensitive to awaken. And here is the truth that few will ever accept. Your sensitivity is power. The masses call it weakness because they cannot regulate what you naturally perceive. But the chosen are built with open channels. Your brain processes signal faster. Your spine reacts to frequency changes. Your breath shifts in response to unseen atmospheres. You were never meant to be ordinary. Listen, there are moments when you feel waves of emotion that seem to come from nowhere. Sudden sadness, sudden clarity, sudden urgency. You think they are random. They are not. You are tuned into collective undercurrents. but you must learn to distinguish between what is yours and what is not. This is where mastery begins. Here is the sacred process for this part, the spine of separation. Sit upright again. Close your eyes. Inhale deeply and imagine a thin column of white light running from the base of your spine to the crown of your head. On each inhale, see that column becoming brighter. On each exhale, imagine all foreign energy, expectations, projections, fears that are not yours, dissolving off your shoulders like dust. After 7 breaths, whisper quietly, "What is mine remains. What is not mine releases." You will feel lighter, not because something mystical happened outside you, but because you consciously reclaimed your boundary. John 8:32 says, "You shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free." Freedom is not external permission, it is internal clarity. And clarity begins when you separate your signal from the noise of others. You have been absorbing too much, carrying too much, interpreting too much. That ends now. Your difference is not meant to exhaust you, it is meant to guide you. The reason you feel misaligned in ordinary settings is because your nervous system detects when you are shrinking, and every time you shrink, your body protests. Have you noticed how your posture changes when you suppress your thoughts? Your shoulders drop, your breathing becomes shallow, your voice softens. That is not coincidence. The body reveals what the mind tries to hide. But when you speak truth, even softly, something shifts. Your spine straightens, your breath deepens, your eyes sharpen. That is the architecture of alignment. Not everyone was meant to hear this. Some will say this is exaggeration. Some will dismiss it as ego. But ego seeks superiority. This is not superiority. This is recognition. Acknowledging your difference does not mean you stand above others. It means you stand within your design, and design requires responsibility. You cannot continue pretending to be ordinary without paying the cost in your nervous system. Anxiety is often misdirected purpose. Restlessness is often suppressed expansion. Isolation is often preparation. You were prepared through solitude because solitude sharpened your inner voice. In silence, you learn to differentiate between fear and intuition. In isolation, you learn that your worth does not depend on applause. Psalm 139:14 says, "I am fearfully and wonderfully made." Wonderfully made does not mean universally understood. It means intricately designed. You are intricate. You have depth most will never attempt to reach. And that depth will attract only those who are capable of swimming in it. The rest will remain on the shore, analyzing what they cannot enter. Do not resent them. They are not wired for your bandwidth. As this transmission continues, you will begin to notice subtle confirmations in your daily life. Conversations that mirror these words, symbols appearing unexpectedly, moments of déjà vu. These are not coincidences, they are feedback loops. The more you accept your non-ordinary nature, the more reality will align with it. But acceptance requires commitment, and commitment requires courage. You feel that courage rising now, like heat behind your sternum, like steady electricity along your spine. That is activation stabilizing. You are not becoming different. You are remembering, and what you are remembering cannot be undone. Do not rush this moment. Something subtle is integrating inside you right now, not loudly, not dramatically, quietly, like ink sinking into paper. The realization is settling deeper than thought, into your nervous system, into your breath, into your blood. You are not trying to become extraordinary. You are allowing yourself to stop pretending to be ordinary. There is a difference. For years, you have carried the weight of self-doubt not because you lacked ability, but because you sensed your capacity was larger than your environment. That creates tension. A mind that sees patterns in a room where others see randomness. A heart that feels depth in a world addicted to distraction. A spine that refuses to bend when conformity demands it. Listen. Matthew 13:11 says, "Because it has been given to you to know the mysteries, but to them it has not been given." Most people interpret this as favoritism. It is not favoritism, it is function. Not every system can handle higher voltage. Not every vessel can hold the same current. You have always felt that voltage. Have you noticed how your body reacts when truth enters a space? Your breathing slows, your eyes focus, your thoughts sharpen. It feels like alignment, because it is. Truth stabilizes frequency, and your body is designed to detect it. This is why you grow restless around mediocrity. Your nervous system cannot relax inside distortion. You were engineered for clarity, and clarity feels threatening to systems built on illusion. Not everyone was meant to hear this. The discomfort you have felt throughout your life was not punishment. It was refinement. Pressure creates diamonds, yes, but pressure also awakens strength in the spine. The spine is not just structure, it is authority. It is the physical representation of inner alignment. When you stand fully upright, when you breathe deeply, and allow your chest to expand, you are signaling to your body, "I accept my design," and your body responds. Here is the sacred ritual for this part, the heart-crown alignment. Sit comfortably, close your eyes, place your right hand over your heart. Inhale slowly and imagine a soft golden light pulsing from your heart outward. On the exhale, imagine that same light rising up through your throat, through your brain, and resting at the crown of your head like a halo of quiet fire. On the next inhale, allow that light to descend again, from crown to heart. Repeat this cycle 12 times. This synchronizes perception, brain, with conviction, heart. Many chosen souls struggle because their insight runs ahead of their courage. This ritual reunites them. You were never meant to be ordinary. Listen, ordinary life demands that you mute yourself, that you shrink your questions, that you ignore your intuitive flashes. But every time you ignore your inner signal, your body tightens. Your shoulders carry invisible weight. Your breath becomes shallow. That is your system resisting self-betrayal. 2 Timothy 1:7 says, "For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind." A sound mind is not passive, it is clear, it is stable, it is internally anchored. You have been developing that anchor through every trial you endured, through every season where you felt misunderstood, through every moment where you felt like the only one awake in a sleeping room. Isolation was not abandonment, it was calibration. When you are separated from noise long enough, your inner frequency becomes unmistakable. You learn the texture of your own intuition. You begin to trust the quiet voice that speaks before logic forms. And here is the mirror effect truth. As you trust it more, reality begins responding to it. You have likely experienced this already. Thinking of someone moments before they contact you, sensing an opportunity before it appears, feeling a shift before an announcement is made. These are not random glitches in time, they are signs of heightened attunement. Your brain, heart, and breath are synchronizing at a level most people never access. But with attunement comes responsibility. You cannot use heightened perception to manipulate. You cannot use awareness to dominate. The true chosen carry power quietly, authority without ego, strength without display. This is why you have never felt comfortable boasting. Something in you rejects shallow validation. Applause feels temporary. Alignment feels eternal. Hebrews 12:11 says, "No discipline seems pleasant at the time, but painful. Later on, however, it produces a harvest of righteousness and peace." The discipline you endured, emotional restraint, self-reflection, solitude, was not loss. It was construction. You are being built from the inside outward. Most people try to build identity from external approval. You are being built from internal resonance. That is why your path feels slower at times. more intense, more deliberate. But when you move with weight, with impact, with presence. Notice how even reading this, your posture subtly adjusts, your breathing deepens, your attention sharpens. That is your body confirming alignment. The ordinary version of you was a mask. The original version of you is emerging. And as it emerges, some relationships will fall away. Some environments will no longer fit. This is not loss. It is filtration. Not everyone can walk beside you at your frequency. You are not meant to convince them. You are meant to remain steady. As this transmission continues, you will feel the boundaries of your old identity dissolving. Not dramatically, quietly, like fog lifting. You are not becoming someone new. You are stabilizing into who you have always been. And the deeper this stabilizes, the less you will tolerate shrinking. Something irreversible is unfolding inside you, and you know it. This is the moment where everything settles, not in noise, not in spectacle, but in clarity. You have traveled through these layers not to be entertained, not to be convinced, but to remember. And remembrance is not loud. It is steady. It is the quiet locking in of identity at the deepest level of your nervous system. You were never meant to be ordinary. Listen, ordinary was never your assignment. It was a disguise you attempted to wear so that you would not feel alone. But the disguise always felt tight. It restricted your breath. It dulled your vision. It compressed your spine. And every time you tried to force yourself into it, your body protested. That protest was wisdom. Your life has been filled with subtle confirmations. The sense of destiny without details. The weight of responsibility without a title. The knowing that you were being shaped for something that required strength, patience, and depth. The world trains people to chase visibility, but you were trained through invisibility. You were refined in silence, strengthened in isolation, calibrated through misunderstanding. James 1:12 says, "Blessed is the one who perseveres under trial, because having stood the test, that person will receive the crown of life." The crown is not status. It is stability. It is the moment where your mind, heart, and spine stand aligned, unshaken by opinion, untouched by pressure. You have stood the test. And now something shifts. You no longer need permission to accept your design. You no longer need validation to confirm your intuition. You no longer need to shrink so that others feel comfortable. Your breath feels different now, slower, deeper. Your shoulders are not carrying what they once carried. Your chest feels open. That is integration. The sacred process for this final part is simple. The seal of identity. Stand upright, feet grounded, spine tall. Close your eyes and take one long inhale. As you inhale, imagine light entering through the crown of your head and filling your entire body. Brain, throat, heart, spine, legs. As you exhale, whisper quietly, "I accept who I was created to be." Repeat this 3 times. Feel the stillness afterward. This is not ego, this is alignment. The masses will continue chasing noise. They will continue measuring themselves by comparison, applause, and trends. But you are stepping into something steadier, a frequency that does not fluctuate with opinion. 1 Corinthians 2:14 says, "The person without the Spirit does not accept the things that come from the Spirit of God, and cannot understand them." This is not condemnation, it is differentiation. Not everyone will understand you, and they do not have to. You were never meant to be understood by everyone. You were meant to be anchored. There will still be days of challenge. There will still be moments of tension, but they will no longer shake your identity, because now you know that the discomfort you once felt was proof of misalignment, not inadequacy. You are not ahead of others. You are aligned with your assignment. You are not superior. You are calibrated. You are not isolated. You are distinct. And as you walk forward from this moment, you will notice subtle shifts. The way people respond to you, the way opportunities align, the way your words carry weight. This is not magic. It is coherence. When the mind, heart, and spine stand in agreement, reality reflects it. You feel it now, that steady warmth behind your sternum, that quiet strength along your back, that clear focus behind your eyes. This is what acceptance feels like. This transmission was never meant for everyone. It was meant for those who were already sensing that they were built differently, those who carried a quiet knowing that ordinary was never going to satisfy them. If you are still here, it is because you recognized yourself in these words. You are not beginning a new identity. You are sealing the one you have always carried. And from this point forward, you will no longer ask whether you were meant for more. You will walk as someone who knows.